What's up, heretics? It's the Religion of Speed podcast, the show for car nerds by car nerds. I'm Matt Overstreet.
I am Chris Huffman.
And I'm Aaron.
And Hamza is somewhere else. We're not exactly sure, but he's not here on the podcast, but that's all right because we have a bunch of news to talk about. Kind of had to throw this one together last minute, but you know, there's a lot of news to talk about, so I feel like we'll be fine.
Yeah.
First of all, I want to start with some sad news. But it's sad, but it's also not sad. It's also surprising. There's a lot of emotions in this news. Toyota will stop selling the Toyota Camry in Japan starting next year.
Wow.
And I had to pull up the picture of one of my favorite Toyota Camrys, the one that looks like a 240SX.
It does look like a 240SX, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, shit. I thought that's what was on jack stands.
Yeah, I put those things side by side.
My beloved Camry.
Right? But yeah, I was shocked to hear this because I'm like, wait, they're stopping selling the Camry in Japan? That makes no sense. But from the article on Japanese Nostalgia Car, they said since its debut in 1980, Toyota has sold about 1.3 million Camrys in Japan compared to 13 million in America.
Well, I mean, you can't argue with that. 10%, I mean, that's a huge gap.
Right?
Yeah. That's tremendous.
It's just kind of weird.
It kind of makes sense, though, because the roads are smaller. There's not as many areas to park. The Camry, I mean, we're talking about a country where you can buy a K car and drive around. Like, the Camry is a pretty big car. And it's just gotten bigger throughout the years. But yeah, that was the only part that didn't surprise me. I figured the fact that this car was so successful, it would carry a worldwide following. But
right.
I guess it's just us big Americans and our big wide roads.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. The Camry is apparently an American car. They did also mention in the article that, like, you know, in Japan they have, like, you know, the big rear-wheel drive Toyotas.
Yep.
Oh.
And those were eaten into the sales of this because they're really about the same size, but you get a more performance-oriented car, or just like, you know, that's just what they like a little bit more. Then why would you get a front-wheel drive version of the same car, basically?
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a ton. Toyota has so many cool sedans throughout the years. And there's like, how many mid-size sedans can you have?
Right.
That will sell. I mean, it sucks that the Camry is the one that we got 13 million.
Right. Yeah. Now I'm just kind of angry about that.
Yeah. If I had the option to have a Crown or a Chaser over a Camry, yeah, the Camry's never getting purchased.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh man, can you imagine just having 13 million Crowns and Chasers sitting in junkyards, sitting in some old grandma's car that just needs a manual swap and a welded diff, and you're ready to go?
There'd be a lot more broken fences, mailboxes. Like, just things would be hit by Toyotas a lot more often.
Oh, man, I don't know if we want to rebrand. Like, the Mustang let the Mustang have that. You know what I mean? I don't want that to happen here, personally.
Yeah, but I have a feeling if we had those cars, I think those would have that reputation. Those would be the kids leaving the fucking cars and coffee, smashing into people.
Well, I mean, it goes back to what you were saying when we got here about the G, like the Infinity sedans, you know, the G37s, and even kind of the first generation of Lexus Global, like 06 ISs and things like that are becoming affordable to kids like that. That is very similar to me as like the Cefieros and the Semas and the Chasers and the Crowns of like 25 years ago. That's like that's the equivalent of kids are grabbing those, doing rhino lined hoods and trunks and weird stuff and sliding them around and causing terror in intersections. So that's like, you know.
Yeah, no, it is very interesting. Like the G's and the Lexuses and the G's. I see them a lot. Young kids, they're all clapped out at this point. Not all of them, but a lot of them are clapped out at this point.
They're like overstanced.
Yeah, stanced and, you know, straight piped exhaust. The thing that's weird is they're all automatics still.
Well, there weren't a lot of manual sedans that the G made, and as far as how many ISs had manuals?
The 250s, you could get the 250s in a 6-speed. I don't think 350s ever came with a manual transmission, which is, again, probably why I thought the other week that the Supra with the smaller motor had the manual transmission. But I think neither of those the old JDM cars came mostly with like AO 340 slush boxes and things like that too.
Everybody's swapping them.
It's kind of very parallel. It's a parallel to me. You know, 25-year later.
about that old.
Yeah, that is very interesting.
Six-cylinder,
Like you
rear-wheel
said,
drive.
they're all about the 10. I mean, you can get a G from anywhere from 4 to 14 grand right now.
Yeah.
Probably the same with the ISs.
Yeah, no, I ran into a kid yesterday, got his first car. He was excited. He had talked to me about cars for several weeks already, and I'm like, oh man, it's so cool that you're into that, and like, I can't wait to get one. And he showed up in an IS 250 with black painted OEM wheels.
Yeah, of course.
I'm shocked.
Right.
And
Were they painted or were they plasti dipped?
I couldn't tell, but his first question was, do you think I should do red brake calipers?
Nice. All right, he's on the path.
I was like, hey man, I'm here for it. Just make them silver and do the maintenance.
Yeah, it's like, right, we were all there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I had a Chevy Lumina for my first car, like I've said before, and I modified that. And I have to throw that in every episode to make Tony happy.
I forgot. It's been a while since we've talked about the Lumina, actually.
I'll say my EG Civic was a piece of Ricer history. Like
Right.
it had the spoiler from the first Fast and Furious with that giant crossbar that they had to remove in the movie so the stuntman wouldn't trip over it while he was jumping onto the semi truck.
Crossbar.
Yeah, it was like the spoiler design makes no sense. It like comes up as it has like two horns and then a crossbar that goes through the middle. An aerospace engineer looked at it once and goes, "This doesn't make any sense. This isn't going to give you any downforce at all."
Yeah, but it looks cool.
Yeah, but I'm like, my 17 me, I'm like, but it looks awesome. I love
that
my
matters.
orange shopping cart.
I don't know, man. I feel like... You remember people used to do the same thing to these Camrys, too?
Yeah, it's true.
You know?
I still want a two-door Camry. I think one of these lowered as a daily is a good little car. I either want this or the wagon variant.
Yeah, I mean, when I lived in LA, I knew a guy that had this generation Camry with the 3-liter and a supercharger.
Yeah.
And it's so clean, and it's still, to this day, one of the coolest Camrys that I know about.
Yeah, TRD made a supercharger kit for that engine.
The wagon variant's the one with 2 windshield wipers on the back glass, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So weird. And it's like, it's this. It's for people not watching, it's like the bubbly 90s style one. This is the coupe we have on the screen here, but it's this. It's all bubbly, and then the back is just like cut off.
Mm-hmm.
It's not rounded, it's just squared off. And it's just such a weird looking car, and I love it.
And you said TRD made a factory supercharger kit
For the
like a
3-liter.
dealer install.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
They're super rare at this point, but like that's what I would love. A Camry wagon with a manual and the supercharger lowered on some like Enki 92s.
It'd be a fun support car.
Right?
Because you could load the back up with tires and wheels.
Oh, yeah.
Parts, whatever.
All the seats probably fold flat.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I remember there was one of those right outside your place. I'm like, that is so weird.
Yeah.
They have 2 wiper blades like that, and they're like next to each other. So I don't even...
Toyota likes the multiple wiper blades. Like the FJ Cruisers have 3 little wiper blades on the front windshield.
Really?
Yeah.
Because the windshield's so short and so long that in order to get the coverage, they needed 3 little wiper blades.
Yeah, you almost have to buy like rear wiper blades for it. They're like 12 or 14. They're small. They're
Yeah.
small.
That's hilarious. That's so Japanese.
Right?
It's like, no, there's 2 square inches that aren't covered if we only use 2 blades.
Right. There'd be like this spot in the middle. We can't be having that. But yeah, well, goodbye to the Camry in Japan. But here in America, the Camry's never going anywhere. The 6th gen Camaro is officially dead. It is no longer being produced. There's some sort of colon shit joke there.
I don't even want to go down that road. I mean, honestly, I like Mustangs better than Camaros anyway, so I'm not sad about
So
this.
from your perspective, this is just getting rid of the hemorrhoids.
That looks like a hemorrhoid, yeah. On the screen, that looks like a hemorrhoid to me.
I'm actually kind of sad. Like, I never got to drive the newest versions of these Camaros, but
Same.
I've heard nothing but good things.
The 5th gens were great.
Yeah.
I was a big fan. They felt, okay, the visibility was terrible.
Yes. I'm hoping they did better with the 6th
And
gen.
they have giant shoulders. But yeah, the way they handle, the rear end is so compliant, that rear suspension. You can turn off the stability control and you don't feel like you're going to kill yourself on a mountain road. And with a muscle car with 400 plus horsepower, that's saying something.
Right?
I don't know. I mean, so the 5th gen would be the first retro body style Camaro, correct?
Right.
And then this is just like another iteration of that.
It's lighter. It's supposed to be lighter
Yeah.
and makes more power.
It is
and-
technically on a different platform than the other one.
Completely.
Completely.
Okay. I mean, I
This
like
is on the
this.
same platform as the Cadillac ATS.
Oh, okay.
I do. Okay, so I say I'm a Mustang, but I do like this. I think this is, if it. Hopefully. Is it the final form? That's the question. Is it Camaro's final form? Is it gone?
Well, everybody's speculating that it's going to come back as an EV sports car.
Oh my God.
Just like everything else.
Yes, at some point.
Well, and we had a really big gap after the Catfish Camaro before we got Bumblebee, before we got the 5th gen.
Yeah.
Like the
I
second
wouldn't be surprised
Transformers
if
movie
it's-
was out before that car hit production.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it's another 8 years before we see another Camaro.
Yeah.
If it's done right, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
As long as it's not like this EV rebranding of things like the Mustang and the Corvette, I don't know. To me, is just a sad, slippery slope that I don't want to be part of that.
I want to see how Mopar handles it because for me, the Challenger and the Charger were not sports cars. So it's no great loss if they go EV.
Right, they were straight muscle cars.
Right.
Like the Mustang and the Camaro went sports car.
Right. Yeah, the Mustang is a world-class sports car now.
Yeah, but the Challenger was just like, oh, how much horsepower can we pack in this
Right.
thing?
Like, well, it can't stop, it can't turn. How are we going to fix that? We're going to put a bigger engine in it.
Yeah.
If only that would go the way of the other Challenger in the 80s, I'd be happy if we never saw any of those cars again. I don't know.
That exhaust note that they released for the EV, the visceral, rumbly exhaust note, it sounded like something out of Tron. It sounded
you know what
kind of cool.
You know what it sounds like? It sounds exactly like, have you seen the movie The Wraith?
No.
Oh, God, we need to watch The Wraith. It has Charlie Sheen as a ghost that comes back to haunt these street racers and kill them all. And he drives the Wraith, which was like this, it was a concept car that Chrysler made back in the 80s. It was a mid-engine concept car. And in the real world, it had like a turbo 4-cylinder out of like a Dodge Shadow, basically.
Okay.
A turbo 3 engine. But in the movie, it makes the exact 100% exact same noise as that new Challenger makes.
Holy shit.
Like, I think they saw that movie because it's their product, it's a Chrysler product. They watched that. Somebody watched that and goes, that's the futuristic sound we need.
Well, it kind of makes sense. I mean, somebody who grew up watching Charlie Sheen movies would be about old enough to be in a position of power now.
Right,
And
yeah, I
see
mean, I first watched that movie in college, which it was old movie then, but it was like a cult classic at that point, you know? But it was the same thing of that era of the cyberpunk, the late 80s cyberpunk style shit.
Cool DeLorean stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's cool again. So
Yeah.
I'm not shocked they made that new Challenger sound exactly like that.
I mean, that's the only thing, in my opinion, that the Mopar stuff had going for it, where the Hemis sound good.
Yeah.
I think they sound good, but every time I get in one that is anything Hemi, like, I'm like, this just...
I mean, it's a comfortable place to sit. They did a good job there.
they're so big. Every time I get like a Chrysler 300 or something, I'm like, this thing's just massive. Like,
Yeah.
how'd you take a Mercedes chassis and make it bigger?
Yeah, because it's not like the Mercedes chassis was small.
Right?
Jesus Christ.
The Challenger feels, when I drove one, it felt like a Hemi-powered Lazy Boy. Like,
Hemi-powered lazy
That's
boy.
that's a great description.
That's a good tagline, yeah.
Hemi-powered. It's super comfy. The ride was nice. And it had some oomph to it, but I wouldn't want to take a Lazy Boy hard around a corner.
Yeah, no, that's I just pictured you and a Lazy Boy like skirting on two wheels in like a soapbox derby type thing right now.
Now that sounds like a lot of fun.
Okay, when are we doing the Red Bull Pinewood Derby thing that they do?
I'm down if we can get fucking Randy to go steal us the thing. You know, Baby Fark McGee's axe.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, so we
South
can
Park
get the
reference
particle
too.
accelerator magnet.
Exactly,
Yeah, I like
I
it.
need to keep up with my South Park so I'm on the same page as you guys.
It's amazing how much better it is after you move to Colorado.
Yeah, you get all the references.
Yeah.
How much space cash would it cost to do that?
How many space bucks?
Okay.
But anyways, back to the Camaro. We will have, of course, still the Challenger or Charger, whichever one it is, moving forward.
The
with
Challenger's the two-door, right?
EV. Yeah.
But are they calling the new one a Challenger? Or I thought they were resurrecting one of the Plymouth names.
No, I think it's gonna be a Charger, isn't it?
Is it?
I don't know. Could have been anything.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, if they're gonna do an EV car, I'm just brushing over that. If they're gonna do an EV car, Charger makes more sense.
It does. That's true.
Yeah.
The pun is there.
And when you can plug your phone into your charger, you know, then you have to plug your charger into the wall.
Charger
Well,
and
and
the
then you have
charger.
to deal with Fiat Chrysler Electronics. So it can be like the charger of my charger isn't working.
Yeah.
The charger is not charging via the charger.
That's an inception of chargers. Plugging your phone into the charger and your charger, which is plugged into the charger.
Right.
That's the layer of.
Jesus Christ. But of course, we still have the Mustang as well going forward for now.
Which that's my favorite of those three currently.
Yeah. You know, I was doing a lot of research on the EcoBoost Mustangs.
Yeah.
It's like, that might be a purchase in the future,
What I don't get is how they can still sell the 6.
right?
How is there still
Yeah.
a market for a
I
V6
think they-
Mustang
I
when
think
there's
they
a
did
turbo?
stop.
I think
Did they finally
I
stop?
think they did.
I remember hearing a couple years ago, they're like, oh yeah, new V6 Mustang. I'm like, you can buy a new V6 Mustang?
Right, why
Who
would
would
you
buy
when-
that when you can get a Turbo 4 or a V8?
Yeah.
I mean, it would be cool if they just went to an like a 3.5 EcoBoost or a 5.0.
Like
That'd
the
be
one
cool.
from the
Be all right with that.
F-150?
Yeah, that'd
Yeah.
be cool.
I think the option should be the 2.3 4-cylinder or the 3.5 V6 EcoBoost.
You just can't have a Mustang without a V8.
I know, but they have to at some point.
Maybe.
They're going to have to. It's either that or it goes electric. So,
Well, it already went electric, really, kind of
Yeah.
in a weird way. So
And
Right.
a weird 7-seater.
I bet the 2.3, or is it a
SUV.
2.3? It is a 2.3. I think, I'm curious what the balance is like on those, like the weight distribution.
everybody says it's better than the GT.
I'd imagine.
Wow.
It's they say it lightens up the front end a lot and it handles better than the V8 one.
Wow.
And you got to imagine they make a decent amount of torque. It's not V8 torque, but it's manageable torque in that chassis.
It's 300 horsepower.
And it's tunable.
yeah.
I mean, you can make more out of it with just software.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much what I was reading is you can make more power than the 5-liter with just some simple bolt-ons and a tune.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, if you're trying to go for like 700 horsepower, then you need the V8 and you're going to turbocharge it. But that's like with way more money.
Or if you just really, really want NA.
Yeah.
It's a different
I
build.
get that. Yeah. Like, and I used to favor NA motors a lot more before I moved up to this altitude.
Yeah.
Boost is definitely nicer up in the mountains.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know what that's like. I've only had very slow. Oh, I guess the MR2 is okay. But yeah, boost. Oh, man.
Boost, yeah.
Boost is good.
I miss, yeah, that's the part of my WRX that I miss.
That's the other reason I was looking at the 2.3. I was like, yeah, well, if you're running up the mountains, you're going to, especially if you have it tuned and stuff, you're going to make more power than the GT. You have better balance. It's basically a freaking Silvia.
Yeah.
It's American Silvia at this
Yeah.
point. A little bit bigger, of course, but because everything is.
Right, it's American.
Yeah.
What do they weigh?
It's a good question.
You know?
I don't
I
know.
don't know.
Probably a lot.
So I feel like overall, see, that's where
I think it's over 4,000 pounds.
Oh, no way. You think so?
I think so.
I think we'll figure.
We should look it up, but I think I remember it being kind of heavy. Let's see.
The Camaro, though, that to me will always be more of a drag car,
Yeah.
I get that this one does go around corners well and things like that, but I just think the Mustang won the war in terms of the American sports car that can go around corners.
Yeah.
That isn't a Corvette or a Viper, for that level of car, that class of car.
Curb weight 35 to 3,600 pounds.
About what I
Yeah.
thought.
So
Yeah.
so it's lighter than I thought.
That's
Yeah.
not that bad.
That's
Yeah.
with the 2.3. That's the
This
4-cylinder.
is the EcoBoost. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not terrible.
Yeah.
3,500-pound rear-wheel drive sports car. I mean, the S14s, those weigh close to 3,000 pounds.
Yeah, that's about 2,800.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
And
definitely over 3,000 with me in the driver's seat.
You got to figure those KAs aren't that. So I think
it makes no
balance-wise,
power.
it probably is pretty fucking
Yeah.
Sylvia-like.
Well, then on the Mustang, too, you got to remember you can fit like a 315 tire square on that fucking thing, too.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
That's true.
you can fit so much tire and so much brake on those
Yeah.
compared to, when you do that on a Silvia, you're
Oh
wide
yeah,
body in it.
without rolling my fenders, I don't think I can go over 225s on it right now.
No, you could put 275s under the back of that.
I rubbed with 235s on the back.
Just depends on
Really?
your offset.
It was a different. It was those Sparkos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did roll my fenders in the S13 a little bit, just tucked them a little, but I did used to run 275 drag radials.
And you were no problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they worked.
Drag
I did
radials.
245s up front.
Okay. So yeah, wide tires all around, pretty much. Yeah. Yeah, because that
You're
thing's
talking
only,
about the Camaro being a drag car, and then you're running drag radials on a.
On an
S
automatic
chassis.
S13 with a J?
Yeah.
I know. Listen, I still love drag racing. I was talking about putting an LS or a 350 in the S10 and whacking it with nitrous an hour ago. Bullshitting, of course, but,
But if you had the money, I know you'd do it.
yeah, why not?
All right, we need to keep moving because you got stuff to do, and we are bullshitting too much. I want to brush up on, or mention this real quick. Hyundai says yes to buttons. They are going to keep buttons in their car, which is a headline I didn't think we'd ever have to say, but they are moving away from touch screens and back to touch buttons for all their HVAC and audio controls.
Obviously, I'm jaded when it comes to Hyundai, so it makes me think they just like found a warehouse full of buttons, and it's like, well, we got to use these.
This is leftovers.
Like, yeah, but
These are from the old Elantras.
yeah, but I am happy to see buttons staying because having to go through 3 steps on a touchscreen to turn your heated seats off is a problem.
Right.
It's so much less distracting. I
is.
think, and I've kind of brushed on this before, but I think that having screens everywhere, screens for your gauge screens for your gauge cluster, screens for your infotainment system, screens. There's just everything is a screen, and it's like on top of that, you have your phone on the dash because you need to know where you're going.
Right.
You know, even though you have navigation up, but like you want to hear Waze. So how many screens do we need before we're not looking at the road at all? And forget about texting and driving, but like if you want to turn your heated seats on, it's way easier to hit that button that has, here's the little squiggly lines in the chair. Like,
Right.
Yeah. Just as easier.
I do it without looking in my car.
Right.
Exactly.
I've got a switch. I don't know. Forward is max, back is half power.
Yeah.
And that's it. AC, buttons.
Yep.
It is better. It is better.
I like buttons.
Yep. I like buttons too. I think everybody likes buttons, and I think in general everybody's coming around to that. You see it all the time in the automotive press, and then So they're not. I don't think Hyundai's the first manufacturer to say that they're going back to buttons. They're going to keep that. It's just like, yeah, this makes sense. Everybody saw Tesla, and everybody wanted to be Tesla.
Yeah.
And then now with everything happening with Elon Musk, I don't think anybody wants to be Tesla. So,
But if your car drives itself, it's okay if you can watch YouTube videos on the
yeah, but it doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, but that's like the marketing.
I
Yeah.
thought that was sarcasm anyway. So I was like,
I mean, it drives itself into things.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does drive itself. It just doesn't do it in the way we need it to do it.
I mean, if we have those autonomous vehicles that pick up people that don't want to drive because our city planning is so poor, and that becomes like, I'm fine with that. But like, I don't know.
God, self-driving cars are such a stupid Band-Aid for the problem that we have.
Oh yeah, which is stupid people.
Just not having public transit, stupid people not wanting to drive.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, if you don't want to drive, you shouldn't have to.
I agree.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then you can have all the touch screens and screens in front of your face that you want.
Exactly.
All right, up next, good news. The Integra Type S will have more horsepower than the Civic Type R.
All right. This was one thing we were all worried about.
Yes.
Because it needed to have marginally more power.
Yes, and it does have marginally more power, 9 horsepower and 15 foot-pounds of torque.
All right.
That's true Integra fashion over the
A
Civic.
tune.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I wonder is what they're going to call this K20, because it's not going to be the C1. They're going to give it a different model designation, most
Probably
likely.
C2 or
like
something.
C2, C4, C5, something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, the Integra Type S over the Civic Type R. I was like, so there's no 1.5 involved, which is great news.
Yeah.
That is good news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, did we mention or did we talk about that? The base Integra, was that going to have a 1.5 or not? Does that have?
I think it has the
that
1.5
is a
turbo.
1.5.
I think it's like a tuned version of the SI motor. Like
Okay, yeah.
Another marginal increase.
But yeah, I mean, 9 horsepower and 15 foot-pounds doesn't sound like a lot over the Civic Type R, but that does make it up to 320 horsepower and 310 foot-pounds of torque.
Can't believe we're talking about a Civic and an Integra. I
And
can't
300s.
believe.
Yes.
I was just talking about that out of that Mustang, and I was impressed.
Yeah.
You remember in the 90s, their rear-wheel drive, like big power cars couldn't make 300 horsepower. Had violated their gentleman's agreement.
I mean, they all did make.
Well, yeah, they all
one.
did,
Put
but
them
on
a dyno.
paper, they've got like
Well, yeah, even
280.
280.
Something.
They're all 280.
Yeah.
They're all 280. Even though you strap a Super to a dyno, and it's like, oh, this thing made 336.
Yeah.
Weird.
Right to the wheels. You're like,
Oh, that must be just a weird one.
Another good news, also, the Type S will only be available with a 6-speed.
that is the best
I
news
love that.
of this probably whole podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm getting a little more excited for it. I think it's just going to, like we said before, it's going to be the grown-up Civic Type R,
Yeah.
which is kind of weird because the Civic Type R is growing up a little bit with this new design. So
It was pretty juvenile to start out, though. So
Oh, very much
It
was.
didn't take a lot to grow from that.
true. But I'm curious to see it when it's all done. Like this preview picture here, you can see these big old flares in the back. So it's going to be wider than the. It's hard to see on that screen.
Oh, and I love how cryptic they've been with this Integra every step of the way.
Right.
Like, remember the first picture they released was an outline drawn on paper and then just a zoom in of the Integra inlay in the bumper, and that was it.
Yeah, they've been very secret about. they've been secret about the power plant on this thing, and everybody's like, we know what it's going to
We
have.
all know it's going to be a K20C.
You're not making a new engine for this fucking thing.
What if they do?
That would be weird.
What if they could, like, so that's more horsepower, but what if it's like some weird small V6? And we're like, huh?
Yeah, you're like, wait, what?
Okay.
It's like, we made a new J. Here you go.
Yeah.
Oh, God, it has a J series in it?
That would be sweet.
I'd be okay with like some weird 2.5 liter-ish V6 that made,
Revs to the moon.
yeah.
I mean, that'd be awesome. I don't think it's going to given that it makes 310 foot-pounds of torque,
Yeah.
I don't think we're seeing old school Honda Rev to the moon stuff. We're seeing, I think that pretty much
We're seeing tiny
shows.
turbos.
Yep.
We're seeing the better, what it should be, you know.
Which, yeah,
It does work better.
We all said when this was announced, this is what the car should have been when it was released. It should
Yeah,
have
they-
been a K series. It should have been a little bit badder than the Type R.
If they had just waited and debuted this, and also there's a non-S version,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think we would have had the conversations we had before.
Yes.
But instead, they were like, "That's an Integra. It's just a Civic rebadge." Okay, here you go. Bye.
Yeah.
Like, what about the sports heritage of it?
People wanted a world-beating car as an Integra.
Yeah.
They want a tip-top variant, even if nobody buys that version and they only make 500 of them.
Yeah.
That needs to be the poster car.
Yeah, you got to have these ones to sell your base models. Kinda.
Yes.
I think that's still a thing. We were just talking about young people and enthusiasts, and that's still a thing.
Yeah, I'm always going to want a G37S over a base model.
Right.
Bigger brakes, all the little tiny small things that do matter, you know.
Yep.
So, bigger brakes are big,
Yes.
small, but hey.
Bigger, small brakes.
Bigger,
smaller,
brakes.
big brakes.
Yeah. Smaller car, bigger brakes.
There you go. Yes, that's a T-shirt. Smaller car, bigger brakes.
I like that.
Make the car smaller. Make the brakes bigger.
Too big, like, all right.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah,
We'll
two big rotors.
workshop that.
Yeah.
This is a concept we can develop.
Here's some awesome news and something we've actually talked about before. WRC is maybe coming to Chattanooga.
And this is awesome. I mentioned I submitted this back in 2010, but it was after the banking collapse. Well, the previous banking collapse.
Not this bank.
Now we have to
collapse that we're
specify
kinda
when
going
that
through
happened.
currently.
But it was it was a time of economic turmoil, and
Yeah,
they were
you're gonna
like,
maybe have to be more specific.
it's around 2010. Obama
there you
was in
go.
office, but yeah, it's it's cool to see. It's cool to see that they're looking at this again because there's a lot of beautiful dirt roads. There's old logging roads going through Tennessee and North Carolina, and the climate is. I mean, it rains a lot, but the climate is mostly great for this 8 months out of the year there.
Yeah.
So I'd love to see this. It would give me an excuse to, all my old hiking trails to see cars going sideways through them at 90 miles an hour instead of just imagining it like I used to do when I would hike in Chattanooga. I've heard that they're getting a little pushback from the city, which, doesn't surprise me. But once they see WRC numbers, like the money that can bring in internationally, they're corrupt enough to say yes.
Okay, so my head just went to this weird place of like, I just see the locals in the cabins that don't want it, like the sand people in Star Wars on the ridge during the pod races, like,
I love that you think about Appalachians as like Tuscan Raiders.
that's what it is.
They're like
Tuscan
camped
Raiders.
out on the ridge side taking pot
they're
shots.
like, "We'll get this Subaru off of my lawn, damn it. Fiesta, we're not having any parties.
Setting up some Molotov cocktails.
Yeah.
And fucking
Yeah, that's like
moonshine.
there's booby traps like wacky races. That's the WRC America I want. Oh God.
Well, we just lost our entire Appalachia
Yeah, I was about to say we lost
but
the South.
No.
Although there's a lot of people who are like, yeah, that's fair.
They know.
Yeah.
But yeah, like just this last year, Snowdrift, the first rally of the American Rally Association's thing up in northern Michigan, that was like the biggest turnout they've had. And then 100 Acre Woods just happened. This is actually a picture here from 100 Acre Woods Rally, which is in like Pennsylvania, I believe. But that was a huge turnout. Like rally is picking up again. And once again, we're talking young people. Because like I'm pretty sure it's Travis Pastrana's car, and there's big names in it, there's people that were following, Ken Block, I think, did a lot to promote rally in America.
He did.
And, that's part of the reason I think WRC's looking at America now, because they have an audience there too. And also because of the Chattanooga Tourism Company, which I think that's the same people we talked about before that were trying to get more motorsports stuff, hill climb stuff.
Then the Chattanooga, Kentucky, North Carolina alliance.
Yeah. And this is part of what's happening with that. The president of the Chattanooga Tourism Company, whose name is Barry White, by the way.
Awesome.
Oh my God.
I hope he has a really high squeaky voice.
I'm not going to try to do a Barry White impression here, but it says they've been pushing to bring rally to the area for more than a year. We wanted to reintroduce international rally racing, and we need to get the U.S. back in this competition, was his exact quote.
See, that's awesome because we have American drivers that are going to Europe and doing this now. And it's so much fun to watch. Rally fans are insane. Mm-hmm. Like this I think is a lot cooler than NASCAR. And obviously we just lost some people there. But I mean, they're going sideways through trees.
Right.
They're jumping. Like these drivers have never seen the course, and the co-drivers are like, all right, left turn, 6,
they just gotta
late
interpret
apex with a jump at the end. And it's like, you just have to, all right, I'm going to interpret that.
Right.
With seeing nothing in front of me.
I think it's adorable that you think we have NASCAR fans, first of all. But also, I think this kind of follows a trend of F1 coming back. And just people, the same, because I feel like the same people that are into F1 and a lot of FIA-style events are just, that's the same audience, man. That's the same, like, I was just as excited to watch a Formula One race growing up as I was to watch the Dakar Rally that came on right after it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like those two international motorsports coming to America are the best thing that I could have heard this whole day, you know?
Yeah. That's the second time you said that today.
Yeah. And we're just stacking up great things that I'm hearing.
You're just setting yourself up for optimism today.
I know. Well, it's Sunday, you know? I'm excited.
There's a lot of good news, you know?
Yeah. We have had a lot of bad news lately.
Yeah. Typically when we cover news, it's like, oh, fuck, this is happening.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because it's like spring now and we're all like racing is about to be upon us personally.
We're all excited.
As well,
I was in a good mood just driving in today. I'm like, God, the mountains next to Longmont look incredible. Like,
right?
It's a clear day. It was pretty.
Before we move on for this story, though, I just want to say, like, this isn't just like a pie in the sky dream. Like, currently the plan is to hold a few test runs sometime in the near future. If those prove successful, a demonstration rally is planned for April 7th and 8th, followed by an official test race in September.
Wow.
I don't like the words demonstration rally, personally. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Did they say where?
Have you been burned of the last few years?
It's a scarring. Yeah, you talk about demonstration rallies in the South. I don't know if I want to be a part.
I've been a part of those. It's
Don't
not
say
fun.
That.
It's not fun.
You know, you got to really clarify if you're going to say you were a part of those there.
I was marching with Antifa.
Oh,
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
What racing organization that is, but I guess it is a racing organization of some sort. Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're against the FIA.
Antifa.
I like that.
Oh God, can we make those shirts?
Antifa.
We got more shirts.
NASCAR fans would love that.
They really would.
Antifa?
Yeah.
Well, anytime fucking the FIA does some stupid shit like give Lewis Hamilton free points or Max Verstappen free points, you can just put on your fucking anti-FIA shirt.
Or let Bernie Ecclestone buy himself out of bribery charges.
Oh my God, there's so many good shirts coming out of this episode. Seriously. Like the Ecclestone, like the Bernie shirt, but like it's Ecclestone, you know what I mean, as the outline.
Feel the burn.
Yeah, exactly. And then Antifa, I think the charger inception thing, like your phone plugged into a charger into the wall. We got merch coming, guys.
Yeah, we got merch coming. TM.
Did they say where in Chattanooga they want to do the test rallies? Because that's really soon, April 7th and 8th.
Not in the Grassroots Motorsports article that I read. If I actually saw the WRC press release, but like I said, I threw this together pretty quick, so I did not see that. So I don't know exactly where.
Yeah, I would just be curious. It'd be awesome if it was one of the specific areas where I'm like, do it here.
Right.
Like,
yeah, you would know. They should just bring you on.
I'd love to do that. That'd be incredible.
All right, let's keep moving with some more, I think, good news. Germany is embracing e-fuels and goes against EU internal combustion ban.
Wow.
So EU was planning on trying to ban the sale of internal combustion engines by 2035.
And that's any internal combustion engine, regardless of what it runs on.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And Germany, for this last meeting, kind of just came in. The German minister came in with this bombshell of like, no, we want to have an exception for some internal combustion engines that run on e-fuels.
Which tells me that Volkswagen has a lot of lobbying dollars tied up with the German chancellor.
Oh yeah. Volkswagen, Porsche, they're the ones producing. They're really doubling down on this e-fuel thing.
Right.
So, but that's good because that means if Germany, if the country of Germany is doubling down on this, then that gives me more hope for the production of e-fuels. Up to this point, I've been kind of, once to use the term again, pie in the sky. Like, oh, that would be great if it works.
Right. But all this momentum has been heading towards EVs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But to have a government-backed thing, and, he even said, we're still working for zero emissions, and that's why we want to embrace e-fuels as part of that plan. And we've said that on the podcast, too. Like, not everybody is, we can't just go all EV right away.
We don't have enough precious metals. Until we start mining asteroids, we can't mass produce that.
Right. And there's going to be a lot of people driving older vehicles. And so we're just going to leave them high and dry without fuel? That's not going to work. Because Germany has public transportation, but, so in the meantime, let's, get a zero emissions fuel going. The quote from Germany's transport minister, Volker Wissing, very German. Yesterday, I made concrete proposals to the EU Commission to ensure that combustion engines can continue to be registered and used after 2035 if they are fueled exclusively on synthetic fuels. I copied that because his use of the word registered and used is because EU is fully planning on banning new sales.
Right.
But he's kind of suggesting they might be planning a ban on registering.
So you can't register a car if it's got an internal combustion engine.
I don't think they
after
would do
2035. That. I mean that's a really hard line.
That'd be too soon. I could see them doing that eventually, but if things continued the way they were continuing without the e-fuels in the debate at all. But I don't think that was what they were proposing at first.
Well, and it sounds like something that a progressive politician would bring forward. Like the Green New Deal here. That was never feasible.
Right.
Like the first iteration of AOC's Green New Deal. Like, love the idea behind it, but implementing all those things was never going to be doable. Like moving low-lead gasoline out of the aviation industry in 10 years when 90% of the fleet runs on it. That was never going to happen.
Right.
So it's cool to, it's not cool to see it, but I understand it. And it strikes me as the kind of thing that they would say knowing in 5 years they're going to have to walk it back.
Yeah.
Or extend out that line.
I mean, just to have somebody fighting for or proposing, keeping it on the table. Like I said earlier, I just want to make pop-pops and bang-bangs with all the little kiddies,
Yeah.
Yep.
That's it.
And I think...
And those e-fuels sound awesome. Those engines sound incredible.
Well, that was the...
Oh, was that the hydrogen, fuel cell?
One, yeah.
That one.
No, not hydrogen fuel cell. Hydrogen combustion.
It was actually hydrogen, like liquid hydrogen gasoline?
I don't know if it's liquid, but...
Gas.
Yeah.
Okay. The one in the Toyota with the
that caught
1.6. Oh, did it catch fire?
Yeah, I didn't put that story in here because I forgot about that, but they were doing a 12-hour race at Scuba, and it caught fire.
Oh, well, 12 hours.
Yeah.
I mean...
But still.
Yeah.
Like it's not a great look for them.
Well, hydrogen catching fire is always a bad look.
Yeah, we have images of blimps falling to the ground and the humanity, all that good stuff.
Ichirokuberg. All right, that was terrible.
It's all right. You edit this, so you can cut it out whenever you want.
Yeah, I'll leave it in because I like bad jokes.
But no, I truly think the future is we have to have a multi-pronged approach to the future.
Yes.
And I think increased public transportation, EVs, e-fuels, and hydrogen combustion all play a part in that. Everybody wants to, it's such a weird human thing of going, no, this is the thing we're doing.
This is the one solution.
Yeah, and this is going to fix everything. And it's like, well, it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that goes back to how everything is a construct, like time and we now talk about gender, and all the other things that
Money.
were so
Right.
clearly, money, all the things that are so clearly defined growing up for us, you know, and I think being open to a spectrum of solutions, no matter what problem you're approaching, is
Yeah.
a much better way to approach things as humans. And, you know, we have to kind of unscrew our minds
Yeah.
of all of those things. And
No,
fuel
that's-
is another one of those.
That's a really good point, and I think that's the younger generations in general. If you want to say anything about them, it's their ability to do that, to give
Yeah.
more than one solution to a problem and do the multi-prong approach or
Yeah.
break down those constructs.
Yeah.
And I think that's
Well, and as our energy demands grow, it's stupid to say that we only are ever going to use one source.
right. And there's
Like,
people arguing about
we need as much energy as we can get.
right.
It needs to be like Avatar, you know? The water people do their water thing, and I'm just saying, like, I guess what I'm trying to say is that maybe regionally based approaches to energy should continue to grow in a way that creates a sustainable Earth going forward.
Yeah.
And if that's e-fuels from Germany giving us a chance to continue to race and do things like that, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Germany's going e-fuel. The rest of the EU goes electric. Japan goes hydrogen. America just keeps burning fossil fuels.
Yeah. Well, China will be there too.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Yeah, no, they're with us on that.
There's no EV Tundar.
There might be.
Not yet.
There might be. There. Oh, what up? And then
Oh, shit.
oh,
Sorry.
to finish the podcast, because Aaron needs to go, we got through pretty much everything. So
Hell yeah.
I'll save the game of what's every generation's favorite ride. There was a study that found what like Gen Zers, young millennials, boomers, what they buy in most out of everything.
That's interesting.
And some of the results were surprising, but we'll save that for the next podcast. So you will have to stay subscribed to the Religion of Speed podcast to catch that. And if you want to see more of what we're doing, of course, religionofspeed.co on all the social media. You can find us anywhere you get your podcasts. We are now on Amazon Music and Audible as well. Our podcast is available there. So if you prefer those, we got you. Of course, YouTube for the video stuff on Spotify. We're everywhere. We're doing everything. And I'm excited because we got a lot of really cool shit coming up. So stay subscribed. And Huffman, take us out.
We'd like to thank the band Wheels for the use of our theme song Colors. You can hear that on the album Traveler Part 1, and you can find that band at Wheels the Band at bandcamp.com.
All right, that's going to do it for us, heretics. Until next time, peace out.